Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Capes Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with your brand new friend, but not mine, Chris Moses of the SATURN Effect. We're here to break down the Kickstarter for the Alpha Volume 1 and everything in between. Chris, it is so awesome to finally get you on the show. I know we've had the opportunity to kind of break things down in spaces, but like to get face to face, man, this is awesome. Welcome, man. I'm truly honored to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we've been talking for a little while. We've been friends for a little bit, so it's nice to get on the show finally.
All right, and we have a couple people over on YouTube starting bright and early. We have J. Michael Miller and Good Stuff saying, excited for the SATURN Effect and Yo Hail Chat, Hail Panel. Welcome to the stream, everyone. How are you guys doing? Chris, welcome. Let's start breaking things down with your first book. You said Ajax. Issue number 1 was kind of like your first like dive into the realm of creating comics, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was
so yeah, let's break into that. Going into comics, kind of what type of experience did you have creating Ajax?
So I wrote the screenplay. I wrote it as a screenplay first. It was the SATURN Effect, and it wasn't even called Ajax. It was just something. It was one of the first. It wasn't the first one that I had finished, but it was one of the first few. And it was this giant sci-fi epic that, if I ever wanted to get made, I would need millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. So I was like, all right, this is not going to happen. And I had already written some like other screenplays that would also take millions of dollars. So I was getting sort of, I guess, antsy because you can't really get things moving in that industry like you can in comic books. Mm-hmm. So I decided, I want to make this. I want to get it out there. So I converted into a comic book, and I hired an artist, Jacopo Callisti, off of r/comic book collabs on Reddit. I found a colorist, Novita Thessalonica, and I found a letterer, Reed Hinckley Barnes, and we just started making it. This was at the very end of 2019, and then COVID hit it at the beginning of 2020, and all I had was this comic book. Like that was all that was all that I could look forward to. So I just kept writing, and I wrote, and I think we put out the first issue, if I remember correctly, March of 2020. So it was really literally right at the beginning.
Wow.
Of COVID.
Of Ajax?
Yeah, Ajax came out that month. And then we put out issue 2 literally the next month, because Jacopo was at home, so all he had to do was draw. And then we put out the next issue the next month. So we were really going full.
That full is so, yeah, that's wild. Do you think that had like that kind of like built upon like the success, because you have like a pretty outstanding community like following you? Do you think like having that ability to pump them out and keep that story going like kind of built that momentum for you?
I definitely appreciate everyone that's been around since the beginning, and I think it's definitely, I definitely think we've all bonded with it. I think when everyone that's went through COVID, the beginning pandemic, we remember like we have some sort of memory of what it was like. Either your family came and was home, or you went back to family, or you spent a lot more time with them, or your friends online, or whatever. We all have like those sort of I guess bittersweet memories where it's like, oh, that was actually a nice sort of time. We all sort of came together because we all didn't know what was going on. And so, this TSE is honestly is part of that, like that was something that was literally right at the beginning. And it was something that, at least for myself and hopefully for others, was something to look forward to, and to, gave a reason to open up Instagram and go online and see what was going on. So, yeah, I really appreciate everyone, and I definitely think being able to knock out 3 issues in like 3 months was definitely attributed to the momentum. But afterwards, we didn't drop another issue of anything until way later that year with the SATURN Effect Alpha, and when I started working with Francesco Mazzoli and Marco D'Alessandro.
So, was any of the Ajax issues ran through a Kickstarter campaign, or were they all self-published?
Yeah, they were all self-published, put online for free at the SATURN Effect. I hadn't written anything that was out there. I had obviously friends, and I'd shown stuff to people in college. I was an English major at NYU, so I did a lot of creative writing classes also. So I had written and had people that I knew and things like that. But I didn't have a fan base. Like nobody knew who I was, or who I am. So I wanted to put something out for free, and then also I just love free stuff, like free comics. Like I grew up, a lot of the sequential art that I consumed growing up was actually manga, because you can find it free online like the easiest. And I was a broke child, so I didn't have any money for comic books. I didn't have any money for comics. Nobody would take me to a comic book store because I live in the suburbs, so obviously you gotta get driven there. So so I was always like, at the beginning at least, I was like, all right, I want to put stuff out for free, and I still do want to put out stuff for free, and I have plans for more free content to come down the line in the future, because I think it's an important part of building a relationship with your audience. But also, we as writers and creators, we want people to see the things that we produce, and putting up a paywall inherently will reduce the amount of people that will see what you're putting out. So
that's true.
I do want to put out more free content, and there will be more free content coming. But yeah, it was completely self-funded. But as the quality goes up with things, things get more expensive. And so it becomes a little less feasible to put things out for free unless you have like a runaway home run success. And I think the Saturn Effect is more of it's a accumulation. Like by the time we get to the end of the Saturn Effect, will have been 8 issues of Alpha. We'll have 3 issues of Ajax, maybe even a 4th issue of Ajax, and then we'll have Helena. So it'll have been multiple issues all building up to this one final moment. So it's not like a runaway overnight success. It's definitely a marathon that takes a lot of steps and a lot of work to get where you need to go.
We have Don't Call Me Blurred over on YouTube saying, I see y'all woke up on time. I sure didn't. We barely did, though. Hey, don't feel bad. We barely did. We had a Spaces that ran kind of late last night, and shoo, I mean, those talks are so good and they're so hard to break away from. But like, man, I was like beating myself up this morning about it. Now, it's interesting to say you was to hear you were English major, because like when I read Ajax and then in Alpha, I was like, wow, it's insane. This was like some of your first works, because like your writing is so good. So like I was like really impressed. A lot of people, they kind of have that trial and error, or they walk a little bit before they ran, but you like just started running out the gate.
I appreciate that, man. I've definitely written like a decent amount. Like I wouldn't say I've written, or at the time I wouldn't say I had written like a shit ton, or especially comics, but it wasn't like the first thing that I'd written, or really like the first thing that I'd written for an audience, right? I had done a lot of workshopping in college. I had taken multiple workshop classes, so you'll have all of your colleagues all your classmates are readers in that case, and you also get feedback from all of them. So I think especially if you're somebody that didn't necessarily do that in college or in your free time, like writing a decent amount, it's definitely a learning curve, being able to put your work out there. First of all, being able to put your work out, take criticism, which is a huge thing that you have to be able to like build, and that it contributes greatly to the quality of everything that you make, is being able to take criticism, but also knowing like what criticism to take and what criticism to ignore, right? Like not everyone's criticism is good, but being able to pick out the good criticism is very, very important. So yeah, I had some experience with it, and then I had written a disgusting amount of poetry. My problem always has been getting people to read all this stuff, because it's not easy to just like send somebody a short story or a novella and be like, read this, and expect them to read it. And that's one of the reasons why I love comic books, because it's way, way, way easier to hand somebody a comic book and be like, read this. They're going to read it, and they're going to like look it up afterward. It's just a completely different thing. So moving to comics was actually like an awesome sort of transition, because more people ended up reading the stuff that I was writing, and I didn't have to annoy all of my friends to be like, hey, read this, and then annoy them even more until they actually finished it and gave me feedback. So having that English background definitely helped. That's one of the reasons why I went to NYU and became an English major was because, well, I didn't go there first knowing that's what I wanted to do. I was actually a physics major to begin with. If you can believe
really?
That. It was horrible. I didn't last very long.
Chris is like, I'm gonna become a superhero one way or another. One way or another.
I'm either gonna find my way into a black hole and get some superpowers or write about it. But yeah, so but eventually I was like, all right, what do I want to do with my life? I want to write. And how do you get better at writing? You read the stuff that people say is good, and then you have professors that apparently know what they're talking about, and they'll explain it to you and give you all these different mechanisms and historical context and theories and all this stuff that may or may not really make a difference, but I think at the end of the day it just shows like how you're supposed to play with ideas and the way that other authors have played with ideas in the past and what made them either popular or what either made them transcend time and made it like something that's applicable to when they wrote it and then in the future as well. And then I also specifically took a sci-fi class where we broke down science fiction narratives from like the late 1800s up to the end of the Cold War. It was like an intro to science fiction during the Cold War or something like that with a professor that I really liked. And so I had a pretty big basis of sci-fi. If you look at my wall, you can see all my sci-fi books that I had to read for class, which was honestly super fun. So that definitely also played a huge role in like how my work came out. I mean, most of the stuff I write is sci-fi. I'm obviously obsessed with the future, and I guess that's just how it is. Some good old fashion escapism. But it's also because I have this background in classes that I've took, and it's also why I've written like a noir series. I also took, surprise, a noir class. So a lot of the stuff that I've written, that I've put out, I've had background of like, studying some of the, quote unquote greats, or studying books and breaking them down and seeing how they work and sort of figuring out, all right, what do I want to incorporate into my own style and into my own work? And what do I think they did wrong, or what was boring, and how can I make it better and make it a Chris Moses story?
Man, it is so it's mesmerizing just to like listen to like just the amount of work and effort you put into this. Dr. Hino 419 over on YouTube, stopping to say good morning, my friend. How are you doing? Anyone that has questions, feel free to ask them. I know there's a lot of people in chat right now, so feel free to start dropping those questions one by one. Chris, man, where do I even begin? I see so much like just the world you built is so expansive. I see like influences I feel like Dune and like definitely Star Wars, just like that sci-fi, aspect of it, and just how expansive it is, and like the world building, the political like structuring in it, the different like protagonists and the point of views. Like, man, I love it all. Like, what were some of your inspirations that kind of drove you to create this? I mean, is it too early to say masterpiece? Is it like?
I appreciate that, but I'm curious how you'll feel when we finally get to the end of the Saturn Effect. Then, if that's how you're feeling now, hopefully, well, what's above masterpiece? what's even higher than that? But in all seriousness, some of my inspiration. So the main inspiration was actually I had gone to see Ad Astra with one of my friends, and I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I was so upset with having spent money and like 2+ hours of my time watching this movie that had some good visuals, but like was not something that I enjoyed at all. That I went home and I started the Saturn Effect, and I was like, if somebody can make this, then I'm going to make my my.
That's what started it.
Yes, it was complete. I was so upset about watching that movie. Me and my friend came out of the movie and we're just like, what the hell did we?
Did you tell your friend you're gonna you're gonna do something better?
Yeah, and he's also it's my friend Mo. We actually write together. We write screenplays and pilots and things like that. So hopefully maybe in the future we'll have something cool on that front to announce. But
so cool.
So yeah, I was like, this is terrible. I need to go make something better. So Ad Astra definitely has this level of like trauma and mental sort of issues, I guess, and and just like it's a very character-centric sci-fi, and that's sort of what I wanted to incorporate, at least it's some in the Saturn Effect. And so the Saturn Effect is a very character-driven. We have all these different characters and POVs, like you were talking about. And so yeah, other inspirations would be The Foundation by Isaac Asimov. That's one of my favorite books. Another one that Star Wars, obviously, The Expanse. There's a bunch of sci-fi stuff that I enjoy, and that just sort of crept into the Saturn Effect. It's really an amalgamation of a lot of cool sci-fi things, and with my own twist on it, and yeah, I mean Valerian, the Inkle, and like Mobius stuff. Like there's a bunch of influences.
We have Dr. Hino 419 saying sci-fi is nice when done right. That's the right way to do in Origins, all because of a terrible movie. Yeah, that's hilarious. I never would have guessed. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe like this was doing, when during English, when you had to come up with just some writing, or during sci-fi class. No, it's seen a horrible movie, and were you like coming up with like the base plots like in your head, like while you're watching it, or?
No, the only thing that I had was a name. Not that I had been workshopping some other ideas, and I had come up with a few titles. And one of the titles for this idea, it was an idea that I'll probably never make, because it's one of those ideas that I continue to go back to. And each time I'm like, why do I continue to try and make this story? It does not work. It just needs to be retired. I somehow always come back to it. But one of the names that I thought about for it was the Saturn Effect. And one of my friends was like, that's a sick name. I'm like, that is a sick name. So all I had was like the Saturn Effect, and that was it. And so once I saw Ad Astra, I was like, all right, now I have the fuel. Time to make this happen.
So where'd you come up with Saturn Effect? When I first thought of it, it kind of gave me a vibe from the Rings of Saturn, which is like a death metal band. So I wasn't sure if maybe that had any like influence, or like what kind of inspired you.
So the Saturn Effect is in the story. So if anyone's curious what the Saturn Effect is, well, head over to Kickstarter and back the Saturn Effect Alpha Volume 1. And you can find out. You could also grab the Saturn Effect Helena #1, which also could maybe give you some hints at what exactly the Saturn Effect is. But where the name came from, it was the initial story that I was working on had something to do with time, and Saturn is the Roman version of Cronus, and that's like the god of time, or the Titan of time in mythology.
I like that. I always love interviews where I can learn like a little bit more, and that is such a interesting tidbit of history. So real quick, before we dive into this Kickstarter, let's kind of start painting the picture. Ajax 1, 2, and 3. Just a little bit of a brief summary, kind of painting that picture, leading us up to Alpha.
Okay, so the Saturn Effect Ajax follows a space marine, Ajax Cole, as he executes a questionable Earth offensive in Ajax 1, and then we go back in time and see how he's formulated his formative years in the world that he lives in, what has happened to Earth and the solar system in the time between right now and in the future. And then Ajax 3, we see him enter the academy as he becomes a space marine, and meets Helena Faye, who's the hero of the Titan War.
She's a badass.
She is a badass, and if you like badass Marines, then definitely check out the Saturn Effect Helena, because it's just 24 pages of nonstop action, drawn by Christian Wolf, colored by Marco D'Alessandro, and it's high octane. It just doesn't stop. It goes from page 1, and by the time you get to the end, you're like, whoa, how did they fit so much story into 24 pages? Well, I guess you're gonna have to add our campaign and find out, because it is a fucking ride. It is wild.
Yeah, and I mean, you do pack such a decent amount of story. It's one of those things where I want to read it again just to make sure like I just have the clearest understanding, because it's like such a captivating like story. Like you like there's so much going on. Like it's like you're following one storyline, and you're like, okay, well, who's this person? What are they doing? Why are they calling these people muties? Like, what is going on? It's incredible. So what I want to kind of touch base is Ajax issue 2. We see Ajax kind of, I guess, his beginnings, and he had a really like interesting upbringing. I mean, his dad seemed like rather like pretty hard on him. Was that like any sort of like personal inspiration, or like kind of what drove you to like create Ajax in that manner?
So I wanted Ajax to have a so his father is hard on him. I wouldn't say it's inspired by my own life. I think there will be other properties and IPs down the line that will have closer similarities to my life. I don't necessarily write too much about my, like, there are, you know, my own feelings and things like that I sort of build off of to sort of give my narratives and my characters more realness and tangibility, but I don't necessarily base too many things off of my life, and if I do, it's very, very coded. Anyway, for Ajax, I wanted him to have a harsh father. His father was a veteran, an injured veteran that also has feels some sort of way about having to leave the Martian Wars, which is this large event in our universe that happened prior to any of the events of the Saturn Effect, Ajax, Alpha, or Helena. That is one of those things that's left a very marked, has had a huge impact on the solar system and all these people. So I just wanted to show what one of those show that, you know, and how that has affected people, and how that's sort of those sort of war traumas have been passed down to this next generation, but also is shaping them to want to be better and you know, fix this cycle that people are going through of, you know, war, oppression, trauma, et cetera. So it's sort of showing that this sort of beginning of the cycle for Ajax, because he is pushed into becoming a space marine himself in Ajax 3. So I wanted to show, like, you give some backstory to him, and then also show give a little bit of taste of what the world is like.
Was that hard to do? Like, this was like your second book? I mean, that seems like a pretty high level of writing, to be able to like create like this fictional character with this type of history and this type of like upbringing, like to be able to write that. Like, was that a challenge for you, or, you know, how were you able to go about that?
You know, I think when I'm creating characters, I have most of this stuff out in like their backstory, and you know, story is, you know, about characters, so a lot of this stuff like informs the plot in some way and helps us move forward in some way. So a lot of it has a use, so it becomes a necessity. But yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes on before we get into a story. I like to know my characters. I don't necessarily, so I know some writers will like do crazy exercises to, you know, really get to know their characters, and whatever way works. For me, I like to create detailed story bibles, and in those detailed story bibles, I'll, you know, go break down a character and like really start to learn their history and who they are as a person, and just so I can understand them. Like, I like to when I'm writing, I like to arrange all the different pieces that I'm playing with like it's like they're toys. When I was a child, I had a bunch of toys, action figures, all this other shit, and I would just like make up stories and like have them. Most of the time they were just fighting, because I love action, but, you know, I'd make up stories and things like that. So I view making stories, writing stories, making comics very, very similarly. And so before I begin to, you know, play with my toys and make them fight each other, I, you know, have to buy those toys, I guess. I have to create those toys. I have to put together the cast that I'm going to use, and then also the setting and all those different things. So before we even get into the book, I know a bunch about the characters. And then as you're writing and as you're creating things and as you continue to go forward, those things change so that so they match the plot even better and become more like useful or needed, or they get cut, right? So it's partially planning, partially pantsing, I would say I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. No, I used to be way more of a pantser. When I was younger, I would never outline anything. And as I've written more and more, my outlines have gotten way more detailed, way longer, but also that they don't take me as long to write too. And it really helps up and speeds up the process. But yeah, it's takes some preparation beforehand, but if you know your characters, things like that, is being able to weave it into the narrative may be the more difficult thing than actually having those facts about your character to begin with, like how to implement it in a way that doesn't feel like too boring or too wordy or too dialogue heavy.
Mm-hmm. So is that kind of what helped you inspired the story for Helena, like her own like little story? Like that you just had maybe some leftover information and ran with it, or what kind of drove you to dig in deeper with her?
So I wanted to. So the sound effect Helena has I guess a little bit of a rough history. We went through multiple artists to get to this one. We went through, like, the sound effect Helena was planned to release in the summer of 2020. So it's been over a year and a half before we actually were able to get it out. So it initially was going to be a way to jump into the Titan War. So TSC Ajax #1 takes place at the very end of the Titan War. TSC Ajax #2 takes place 20 plus years before that, and then TSC Ajax #3 takes place at right before the beginning of the Titan War. So Helena takes place 2 years into the Titan War. So I wanted to show more of what's going on in this 7-year span between TSC Ajax #3 and TSC Ajax #1. And then the book that I'm here to promote, the Sound Effect Alpha, takes place 2 years after the end of TSC Ajax #1. Well, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, I just got so wrapped up in the answer. I forgot as well. So, it was with Helena.
Oh, with Helena,
the main focus of.
So I wanted to. Exactly, yeah. So I wanted to show more of the Titan War, and I also wanted to show more of her as a character. And then there's more bigger story things going on in there that are important, that connect to later storylines in the Saturn Effect. I also see the Saturn Effect Helena as a sort of prequel to the Saturn Effect Alpha 3. You can read Alpha 3 without reading Helena, and it's still a great issue. But if you read Helena before you read Alpha 3, you'll get this really awesome experience of seeing this tanker that Helena goes into and executes an Earth mission in, and then the aftermath of that years later when Alpha makes his way to this tanker on his journey to free the Titan Colonies, years later.
So let's start breaking into the Alpha as well. Alpha issue 1, issue 2, and issue 3 you've released issue 4 as well, right? Or that's the one that's being released with the volume?
That's the one that's being released with the volume.
Okay.
It's our longest installment yet, and yeah, it's the newest one.
All right, cool.
Pages.
So yeah, let's break down the first 3, and then what we'll do is I think there's a preview of a 4 on the Kickstarter. So we'll break down the first 3, and then we'll dive into the Kickstarter, and then we can talk about 4.
Awesome.
So issue Alpha issue #1, what's kind of happening there? You said it's happened a couple years after Helena and Ajax. So like where are we at like on the timeline with it?
Right. So this TSC Alpha #1 takes place 2 years after the end of TSC Ajax #1. So in TSC Ajax #1, read for free at thesaturneffect.com. We see Ajax and Helena execute this questionable military offensive, which ends with the destruction of Mega Station 5, which is part of the Titan Colonies, or a group of satellites orbiting the moon Titan, preparing it to terraform and eventually populate. So this happens 2 years after Ajax #1, and we're in the aftermath. And we see the effects of the ending of the Titan War on the people. So the Titan colonies have been subdued, and they're now under complete Earth control at this time. And we see how they're being oppressed, they're being brutalized, and they're being they're being victimized by the Earth Empire, and nobody cares about the colonials at this time. So this is where we pick up the story with Alpha and Centauri, two siblings whose parents die on Mega Station 5, and them doing their best to help the people of Titan and keep them together, because in these colonies there are two post-human races. So there aren't any aliens in the SATURN Effect, but there are post-human races that are humans that have made genetic alterations to themselves and their children and generations of this, to form, one of them being the Pure, which are a rich group of humans that are spread out throughout the solar system, and that are clones of multiple of each other, and there's multiple families, and then the Modified, who are also genetically altered, but are altered in a way that's more practical, specifically to terraform the planet, or terraform the moon Titan. So these two groups are also at odds with each other. There's tensions. I guess you could. There aren't racial tensions like we have in this time, but there are their own racial tensions in the future between these two groups. So Alpha and Centauri are trying to keep their colonies together. They're trying to keep their people together that are not only being oppressed by this outside force, but are raging against each other, when they all should be coming together and trying to save their home. And so Alpha, to save his home, they're on their last ditch effort of what they're going to do. And this whole time he's been trying to turn on a communicator that he had gotten from his parents, and that's the SATURN Effect Alpha 1. It's about him and his sister, trying to keep their people together while also trying to find anyone that will help them free their home and make the solar system a better place.
I really loved the nod to the war in the beginning. Like, you get this great grandiose visual of just this war field. It was so amazing, and I just loved how detailed it was, the flashback, and then the world building and everything in between. Like I said, reading this compared to Ajax 1, it just seems like there was so much more being fleshed out. What was some of the symbolism? I mean, you said there was a lot going on, with not exactly racial tensions, but there was still some some name calling here and there, and the government, the way everything's building up, with the world ruling over Titan. What was some of the symbolism behind that?
So yeah, like I said, there's I didn't want TSC to be a story about black and white, or as I said, but I wanted to show that we have these issues as humanity, as humans, that isn't just based off of skin color. We as a species have this tendency to want to divide and fight amongst each other instead of unifying. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's we see it in all aspects of life right now, right? There's even in the indie comic community, we are split between two groups, when we really should be all together, trying to make it happen against the big corporations. We fight amongst ourselves. So that's one of the themes and that we're sort of symbolically playing with in the SATURN Effect. And there's other themes. There's themes of growing up, and because Alpha is a childish kind of guy, but he has a lot of responsibility that he has taken upon himself. So it's about figuring out how to be an adult, and that's a big part of Alpha as well.
Yeah, that's hard to do. I mean, I'm still figuring that out. I'm a dad at 3, and I still don't have it all figured out. So let's start diving into Alpha 2. Alpha 2 starts getting a little bit more riskier too. I was like, So give us a little bit of a breakdown of Alpha 2 leading to Alpha 3.
So Alpha 2 takes place a few months after the Saturn Effect Alpha 1, and our heroes have made contact with a mysterious benefactor who has agreed to help them free the colonies. But to do that, they have to do something for them first. So to continue this plan, Alpha and Centauri head deeper into Megastation 5, where they find the astro-modified Zex guarding a ship that will allow them to leave the station. Meanwhile, we have Bones, who is a peer, has a falling out with his brother Glass, who is also a peer, and Bones ends up on the planet or on the moon Titan alongside the character Enhanced, and we meet a very important character for later on named Fauna, who is also an interesting tidbit, is also featured in the Saturn Effect Helena. So if you want to learn more about her backstory, that's another reason to grab the Saturn Effect Helena. And we see Bones, and we see the surface of Titan, and we see Enhanced as she discovers a stone that has a lot of significance later on in the story. And we also are introduced to the Church of the First Being, which is a religious group in the Saturn Effect universe that follow the first being that ever existed in existence. Like, they believe that the universe exists in the dream of the first living thing. And so their whole religion is based off of worshiping them, and worshiping their dream, which is something that they reference often, which is something that we'll learn more about. What is a dream? I guess you'll have to read to find out.
Man, yeah, like we were talking earlier, you just built so much into this, even your own religion. Like, that's just, it's so impressive seeing all of the different characters, the different like world building and everything in between. Real quick, before we dive into the Kickstarter, let's finish it off with Alpha 3 to kind of set the pace, what to expect with the Alpha Volume 1, which is going to include issue 4.
Okay, so Alpha 3, Alpha has finally left Megastation 5 and is starting his journey throughout the solar system to put together a device, a bomb that will help him free the colonies from Earth. So this is his first step on the journey, and he ends up in the asteroid belt in search of a cube of antimatter that will be used to fuel this device and hopefully free the colonies. And along the way, he makes a friend with a robot named 5-8 that is also featured in the Saturn Effect Helena. So it really sounds like if you want to have the best Saturn Effect
you gotta get it.
You have to read not only TSC Ajax, not only TSC Alpha, but TSC Helena as well, which is an awesome one-shot that you'll all enjoy. That's available digitally and physically as well on the Kickstarter. But alongside Alpha, we have Centauri's storyline going on at the same time, and she is dealing with the fallout with Glass, who himself is going through a rough time and is developing an addiction to dream machines and dreaming, which is a something that we'll see more as we get further into the Saturn Effect. But in the Saturn Effect, they don't the drug that is really hurting a lot of people isn't fentanyl or something. It is dreaming. People are addicted to dreams, and so they have dream machines that simulate the best dream that they could ever have, and it becomes a very addicting sensation.
That's a thing that is literally, I remember back in the day going through depression bouts. Like, sometimes it's hard to get out of bed. Like, sometimes you're like, I just want to keep sleeping. And then if you don't get out of bed, what happens? That becomes very problematic. I really love that concept. That's really awesome. We have Dr. Hino 419 saying, I enjoy the connections like that. A character's action from one comic are later seen in a future comic with a time skip. I think talking about Elena, like with the tanker, and seeing that with
Right.
yeah, no, that is really cool. So let's go ahead. We're gonna pull up the Kickstarter right now. I'm gonna be posting this in the comment, guys, so be sure to check this out with us, and be sure to back, because you're getting close to another stretch goal, right? So what we are looking at right here is the Saturn Effect Alpha Volume 1 of an epic sci-fi showdown, 2 years in the making. You're at $2,681 of $2,500. So congratulations on getting funded. It was awesome.
Thank
you
you.
actually got funded in the spaces, which I thought was fucking awesome. That right there really showed me that like what we're doing just as a community is really starting to pay off in like dividends, like honestly.
I agree. You guys host really awesome spaces every Sunday, so people listening should definitely hop on Twitter and make sure you
Shameless
join.
self-plug, let's go.
Yeah, and it was awesome. We had some really cool people that chipped in at the beginning of joining that space, and it was really awesome to hop in and be able to fund with everybody and get some claps in the chat.
Yeah, dude, claps in the chat,
awesome.
baby. That's a thing. We gotta make that a shirt. So 94 backers, 20 days to go. Project we love. Yeah, how many Kickstarters have you done? You know, what led you to this success? This is pretty outstanding for 10 days in.
I appreciate that. This is my fourth campaign, so I had done 3 other ones, and yeah, this campaign made more in a week than the first two made in 30 days. So it's definitely it's been a crazy journey so far. We're still just beginning. You know, this is just the 4th one. We have hopefully 1 to 2 more coming out this year, and hopefully next year we'll have even more. So it's just the beginning. We're just starting out, but it's nice to, you know, be taking those baby steps forward, and hopefully in, you know, 2, 3, 5, 10 years we'll be really raking in the Kickstarter dollars.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you have the right formula. Whatever you're doing is definitely paying off, because like this is amazing. After we go through the Kickstarter, we'll go down some of the things you did, like, you know what I mean, that you might have done differently that kind of added to the success of this. But let's dive into this movie. Just a heads up, we're not gonna be able to hear you talk through it. It's gonna override your volume, so just a heads up on that. Yeah, that's such an awesome video too.
Appreciate it. We have so Go Don't Go has made the music for this one, and the first or the second trailer and the third trailer, and they're all great. And I think maybe eventually I'll have to, maybe it'll be another stretch goal. If we get to stretch goal number 3, I'll send everybody a copies of, I guess I'll send the TSE sort of mixtape that we have. There's actually quite a few tracks that we have that people have made for the SATURN Effect.
Oh, that is so cool.
So I'll definitely, if you heard it here first, 7,500. We get the 7,500. Everybody will get, you know, the sound files for all the awesome music that we've had made for the SATURN Effect.
All right, let's go. So we're looking at the story overview. Earth's control over the solar system is threatened as ragtag rebels and disenfranchised soldiers struggle for freedom when Star Wars meets the Expanse in the SATURN Effect. Follow stellar siblings Alpha and Centauri as they try to sorry for the tongue twister, free the Titan Colonies from the Earth Empire in Volume 1 of the Saturn Effect Alpha. I almost had like the perfect narration. Let's go. So right here is the issue for Volume 1. What are we looking at right here?
So this is the Volume 1 cover, and it shows all of the major players in the first volume of the Saturn Effect. We have Alpha up front, his sister Centauri to his right. We have Enhance to his left, and Vega from the Church of the First Being all the way to the left as well. On the right, we have Bones and his twin Glass underneath him. Next to Glass is Fauna, and in the corner is Zex, who is a big boy.
yeah. Vana seems like a really interesting character as well. From just what I experienced while reading her, I really thought, just like some of her actions were kind of really just like intense.
She is a very intense character. You get a reason. You get the reasoning for why she's so intense in the Saturn Effect Helena. Just another reason to grab it. And yeah, she's an awesome character, and she is one of our antagonistic forces. The Saturn Effect Alpha, and just the Saturn Effect as a whole, has multiple. There isn't maybe I wouldn't say there's one specific antagonist. There are multiple antagonists. There are multiple people that have their own sort of agendas and their own motivations that are in play at this moment or in the story. And so there's everybody ends up having to meet up eventually and hash it out, I guess. I'll say.
We have J. Michael Miller over on YouTube saying you love to see it. I think that was a few moments ago when we were talking about the success of your campaign. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, the claps. He threw the claps too. Okay, so he was clapping. So this Kickstarter is to fund the printing of Volume 1 of the Saturn Effect Alpha, which collects issues 1, 2, and 3, and for the first time 4. This is a trade paperback. It has 140 pages filled with action-packed story, eye-catching art, and is perfect for fans of comics like the Incal or Valerian. Did I say that right?
Yeah, and the Incal or Valerian.
Okay.
Yeah.
140 pages. That is such an outstanding amount. Did you ever think it was going to amount to that many pages?
Yeah, when I wrote the script and I realized that it was really fucking long, I was like, oh yikes, this is going to take a long time to finish. But luckily, Francesco Mazzoli is an absolute animal, is the fastest, best artist I've ever seen in my life. Like, this man, I don't think he sleeps. He's from Italy. I'm really not sure he sleeps. I think all he does is play with his cat and draw. And I don't even know the last time his girlfriend's probably hung out with him, because all he does is draw. I'm kidding. But Francesco's amazing, and he's able to pump out a crazy amount of pages in a really short amount of time that are insane quality. So I didn't necessarily think it was going to get this long, but I also knew it was going to be this long because when I wrote Alpha, that was planned to be 8 issues. And I hadn't completed all 8 issues at that time. But eventually I realized that there are some chunky ones. And this issue, actually, the Saturn Effect Alpha 4, was when I realized that, holy shit, these books are really fucking long, because this one is 50 pages. It's one issue. It's a complete story. It's connected to obviously to the other ones, but you can jump in, grab Alpha 4, and really enjoy this narrative. But it's a long one, and
so we see to finish. Alpha and Big Boy going head to head here.
Exactly. So this is the midpoint of our story. Like I said, it's 8 issues. So issue 4, the middle of the story, and it's a big climactic moment for Alpha as he is on the surface of Mars looking for the schematics for the device that he is putting together. So we finally get to see Mars, which is something that, as we've been talking about, has been in the background. Sort of, we've seen the effects of the war that had taken place here. We've seen glimpses of it. We've seen soldiers from Mars. We've seen soldiers from Earth that have fought in the Martian wars, and now we're finally able to come to the surface here and explore this world and what has happened to the Red Planet since now, right? How did we get to a point where people can even live on Mars?
What are we seeing here? What are these bars right here on the cover? What type of ship is this? What are we seeing in this particular cover?
Right. So the ship is a ship that Alpha gets in Alpha 2. So Alpha, this whole story is really an accumulation. Every issue they get something new, and it all plays into later, like the story. And so everything has a significance. So this is the ship that they find in Alpha 2, which is also, surprise, surprise, an old Martian ship. So so it has a significance in that way. So Alpha's communicator that he had gotten from his father is also a Martian communicator. So all of these Martian things all sort of come together. So here we see Zex fighting Alpha. Zex is has a cyber saw and is about to beat up our boy. And Alpha is shooting a laser from it. And in the background we can see these giant towers. So in the Saturn Effect Alpha, the world of Mars has been terraformed, but to do that, they've had to pump CO2 and other greenhouse gases into the planet to give it an atmosphere. So what we're seeing are these plants that are pumping out this sort of toxic gas to make it
I can see
a
that right
habitable
here.
place. Yes.
So how fucking insane was that Elon Musk wanted to nuke Mars to form an atmosphere? I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Yeah,
that was a thing a couple months ago, I think, right?
I've heard that. I mean, I wonder if it would work. I mean, Elon, but yeah. So the planet needs to be terraformed, and this is one of the ways that they do it. And so that creates this, livable planet, but it's a toxic sort of place. So it's sort of maybe symbolically, there's something to break down there.
Sounds like playing League of Legends.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned League of Legends because I've been playing League of Legends since for way too long, since season 1. But now I'm obsessed with teamfight tactics, and today is the new set. So after this interview, I'm about to try and get back to Diamond. Hopefully, we just have no life and hopefully get to Diamond. Maybe I'll get to Masters this set.
All right, so the Saturn Effect Alpha 4 is 50 pages, are our latest installment in the TSE universe. Alpha faces his greatest challenge yet on the surface of Mars, while Centauri tries to keep peace back home during Earth's latest celebration of Hero Day. This single issue is also available separately for any backers that have been with us since the beginning. I think that's really awesome of you guys to do. The Saturn Effect 1 through 4 are complete and waited to be printed, so everything's already done. Awesome, man.
Yep, we're actually, if you were to go to our updates, you can even see that we are finished with Alpha 5, and I posted the inked cover in the latest one.
Right here?
If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you can get this will be a first look for everyone.
Oh, right here?
Now keep going. That's the cover for Soma City. Keep going. It's at the bottom. And there you go. That's the inked cover for the next issue of the Saturn Effect. And we'll learn more about that later on. But this is the first issue of volume 2, and it's already finished inking. Masoli's already finished 33 pages.
Wow.
He's already done with it. Already done.
You're like, man, hey, please chill a little bit. Take a day off, my man. Play with the cat.
He still has another 100 pages to go. So, but once he's done, he's done. So it's actually really exciting. We're literally at the last 100 pages of the Saturn Effect.
How's that feel?
It's surreal. Honestly, it's very surreal. It'll be insane to not only just have this first volume, but to hopefully by next year have the second volume. It'll be crazy.
All right, so right here is the page preview. So this is the issue 4. Is this a variant cover or?
Correct. So this is a variant cover made by Riccardo Secchi and James Alfredi, both of whom are on different Red Sea projects. Riccardo Secchi is the artist for Control+Z, and which is another stretch goal that we have for this campaign. If we get to $5,000, then everyone will get a 10-page preview of Control+Z. And he's the artist on that, and he does an amazing job. So I was like, come on, man, you gotta actually. So interesting story. So we've been working on Control+Z for a long time, but the reason why I started working on that was because I asked Francesco for someone to draw a variant cover for issue 2 of the Saturn Effect. And he sent me Ricardo's profile. They're friends, and I saw Ricardo's stuff, and I was like, oh my god,
this is gorgeous.
We have to make something else. So we made something else, and it took like a year. But then finally, I was like, okay, the original thing that I wanted you for, a variant cover for the SATURN Effect. Let's do it. And he was like, awesome. He's been drawing something else, and he's like, all I want to draw is badass dudes and hot sci-fi girls. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Here you go.
Got the perfect combination for you.
Exactly. So he drew this awesome cover of Centauri and Glass, and in the background you can see it's Hero Day. And Hero Day is the thing that we've been talking about this whole time, which is it's a celebration of the events of Ajax 1. So for the people on the colony side, here that's obviously a bad day, because a lot
it's
of
like what 4th of July for England, like, you know, Americans are like yeah, and they're like England's like, you know, you guys.
yeah exactly. So the colonies, it's a day of mourning in the outer system, but for Earth it's a day of celebration. And it's not just a day of they don't just celebrate anyone, they celebrate Helena and Ajax, who we can see in the background there.
So what are we?
I just wanted to say one more thing about James O'Freddy. He's also he's a colorist on this. He actually has worked on a lot of really cool projects like G.I. Joe and a bunch of Marvel stuff. He's been around for a long time, and he's also the colorist for a series that I have coming out probably next year called Synap. That'll be really, really, really cool.
Wow, you are busy. You are a busy man, dude.
Yeah. Well, that book, hopefully when it comes out, everybody enjoys it. It's a lot of. I mean, everything I write has some manga inspiration, but that one it's got a lot of manga inspiration. It's one thing I'll say about it is it's a mashup of Stranger Things, which is, you know, topical, and Neon Genesis Evangelion. So it's a really awesome story, and I can't wait to get it out to everyone.
All right, so is this page 1, or what page are we looking at right here?
Correct. This is page 1.
What is what are we seeing happen right here?
So here we are. This is the beginning of Alpha 4, and we are in the newly built Church of the First Being. And we are seeing Vega and his father Arcturus. Arcturus is the stellar pope of the Church of the First Being, and they are discussing why Vega hasn't given Centauri the stone that he has. In his stone, you can see Centauri in it, which is the ending of issue 2. And so she has some connection to the First Being and the Church that we're not entirely sure of yet, but it is part of Vega's duty to deliver this stone to her, and he is having difficulties doing it, whether that's because he doesn't want to give up the stone, he doesn't want to leave the stations yet, or if he, you know, has a crush maybe on Centauri and you know, doesn't want to, and wants an excuse to be able to, you know, see her again and spend more time with her and not have to potentially leave right afterwards.
Yeah, no, she does look like a babe, so I don't blame him. And then page 2, so a little bit more of looks like dialogue around the stone. Right. So in this scene, they are discussing. So Vega is trying to, you know, skirt his responsibilities, and he's discussing why there are more people here in the church today. And so we get a little background into Hero Day and how it's a day of mourning in the outer system, and so people are coming to this church for you know, for guidance, for you know, just to feel better, to pray, etc. And also because people believe that their dream that people see in the Church of the First Being is a vision of the future. So they believe that these church beings, or the churchgoers, or Arcturus and Vega, can see the future. So they're also coming there for support and guidance. They can't see the future, but they believe that they can. Yeah. And wow, these colors and these visuals are just like mind-blowing. Like this entire, like it just feels like all these issues just it maintains just that constant like aura of just like being in awe. Like when you look at it and you're just like, wow, this is just so like gorgeous. Yeah, Mazzoli and Marco D'Alessandro are best friends, and they come together and make this amazing yeah, book. Dude. So it's wild. what are we seeing happen on the third page?
So the machine that they were looking at is on the fritz, and Vega is a tech whiz. So he fixes it for them, and it creates this big, beautiful image for everybody to see. But obviously, Vega wants to do anything but what he's really supposed to be doing, which is delivering the stone. But eventually, he listens to his father and ends up leaving to go do or fulfill his duty anyway.
All right. And then this is another little interesting page that I as well. I love this little like different perspective, like looking up from the ground. This is awesome.
Yeah, Mazzoli is just a beast. I mean, he's able to create just like amazing compositions, and every page is different, and it's all really amazing to look at. And you know, this is why we love Mazzoli. He's a crazy genius. And so this page, we're still following Vega. He's going deeper into the civilian center of Mega Station 5, and we can see in the background there are even posters for Hero Day, and on that poster is Helena. So we can see how the other characters and other storylines are throughout these books and sort of peppered in. And interestingly enough, we see he gets shoved by an Earth guard who, if we go to the next page, we discover is Kip from the Saturn Effect Ajax. If you read the TSC Ajax number 3, this is the character Kip that we saw have an altercation with Helena on the bus. So all these characters come back, and they I knew Kip was gonna have some level of importance. You could always, like, when you read, tell, like, when, like, just the way things are like written or the way they're drawn, like this character's gonna come back at some point. Correct. So this is where he returns. If in the Saturn Effect Helena, he also appears in that, and we see him get injured in a flashback. So when we see him here, he has all these robotic sort of upgrades and repairs done to his body. And he is here with an Earth force that's here to tamp down any sort of aggression or problems or riots that may arise from this third celebration of Hero Day.
Wow, another beautiful, like, just scene. I love, like, these different colors. Like, this is gorgeous.
Right, so we've a common thing in the Saturn Effect or the Saturn Effect Alpha is we actually only start on Alpha in 2 issues. All the other issues we start on other characters and make our way to Alpha in the story. Interestingly enough, those issues are issue 1 and issue 8. So in this scene, we see Alpha flying towards Mars, and he's with 5-8, who is a robot that he he found and repaired in Alpha 3, and he's playing a game. He's playing Red Sea Legends, which if you want to play Red Sea Legends, then head over to www.redseacomics.com and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be one of the first people to know when our card game goes live. I have some samples here. We can give you a quick look at what they look like. I mean, we see our boy Alpha right here, and here he is. The art done by Marco Del Forno.
Hold on one second.
And this is his card, the Alpha card.
How many cards do you have? You have a couple?
Yeah, so
let me go ahead if you don't mind.
Each set is a set of 18.
Wow, you got a crap load. Let me I can pull you up to where you're big, and then if you don't mind, like, if you want to show off a couple cards, I can use this moment to go ahead and get a refill of my drink.
Yeah, I can show a couple cards for sure.
So that way it gives you a nice big screen. Perfect.
Yeah, I guess this is the Chris Moses show now. Keeping it Moses. So we have a bunch of different cards, and so this is the Alpha card. There'll be a tutorial coming out later in the year. We have a 5-8 card, a character that we just saw. We have a Zex card, and so you can see some of these on our Instagram as well at the Saturn Effect on Instagram. But it's a card game. It's a 3v3 card game. It's a collectible card game. So you only need 3 cards, and your opponent only needs 3 cards. So it's accessible. You won't have to spend a lot of money on booster packs to get the cards that you want. You just have to buy the set, and then you'll have everything. And it's, I would say it's a mixture of chess and It's like a mixture of chess and maybe the Pokemon traded card game. I guess would be the best comparison for it. And it's fun, it's fast paced, and it has a lot of depth to it as well as you play more and more with it. So we'll be releasing this later in the year, or potentially 2023, alongside.
All right, keeping it Moses.
Keeping it Moses. Yeah. So we're going to be releasing the cards, and I can show you guys the back of them. In the hopefully later this year, but it could be pushed back later till next year, because I'd like to launch it with not just set one. So set one is called the Saturn Effect Foundations. The second set is going to be based off of another IP, Control Z, and we'll have other Red Sea titles cards in it as well. So this is the back of the card as well.
That's so cool.
So it's a fun game. It's enjoyable. It has a lot of depth, and it'll be coming to you guys hopefully soon.
Yeah, you guys got that exclusive too, because I was missing during that part, so I'm gonna have to come back and watch it out.
Yeah. So back to the comic book. Alpha is playing. He's playing Red Sea Legends in here. So some shameless self promotion.
That is so cool.
So he's buying his time as he's flying through the solar system towards Mars, and he's having this argument with his mysterious benefactor about what he's doing being for children, and Alpha is saying that no, it's not for children, and also besides, what else am I supposed to do during this time?
So what came first? Did the idea for the card game come first, or did you create the card game based upon?
So he was playing a card game, a different named card game in the scene, and I had plans to make a card game, but I wasn't necessarily sure, because I had written this. This has been written for a long time by now, so I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to do it, but yeah. I mean, it was there, and once I had decided, okay, we're going to make this game, it was a very easy. It was literally just a name change. It was like, why play anything else but our game.
Yeah, I love the name too, Red Sea Legends. Like, just like for me, like keeping it geekly, I can say it with everything. Like, have you kept it geekly today? Like, it just rolls off the tongue. So like Red Sea, like that's another cool thing too. And we're gonna have to break that down at some point too, because Red Sea Comics is such an interesting concept as well. So what are we seeing down here? More of the interaction.
Yeah, more of this interaction. We're getting some backstory of like what their mission is. Alpha is heading towards Mars to get the schematics for his device. So just some world building, some character development, and we get to see the relationship between Alpha and 5/8, Alpha and the Mysterious Benefactor as well.
And then some gorgeous splash pages. I really love this the way you guys do these pages too.
Yeah, this is a really awesome splash page, or spread page. Spread is the two if it's 2 pages, and splash is if it's 1.
Okay, spread page. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So this is an awesome spread page by Mazzoli, and yeah, it came out really awesome, and we get to see the foreshadowing of this battle between Alpha and Zex is really nice to see. This contrast between the blue and the red, and that's obviously D'Alessandro. He's a coloring genius.
So was this one of his first projects to work on, or has he been working on comics for a long time?
Both of them have went to school, I believe, for comics, and they've been working on other projects. But this is this is all of our baby,
Yeah.
This is our happy place. This is where we go to escape.
I love how like just insanely detailed this is too. Like all the pipes and the frameworking in this is just phenomenal.
Yeah, the Mazzoli, just he's amazing. And this is a scene. It doesn't have any letters on it, but it's a scene of Centauri and Enhanced as they are searching throughout the inner workings of Megastation 5 for something that you'll have to read and find out what that may be.
So the story. Saturn Effect is a growing connected sci-fi universe and webcomic created by Chris Moses, featuring multiple artists on different characters. Find more at thesaturneffect.com. This sci-fi universe focuses on complex character motivations, sublime visions of the future, and a rich history-filled universe waiting to be discovered. And so this is the trailer for issue 2, right?
Yeah, this is the issue 2 trailer.
Okay. You want to watch it, or is that something you want to let?
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, people can head over and
yeah. Right here's the
I
link.
will say that the music. I'll say that the music is amazing. So if you want to have a cool sci-fi tune to jam out to, I mean, there you go.
So in issue 4, while Centauri battles the fallout from Hero Day, back on Mega Station 6, Alpha explores the surface of Mars in search of another piece to the key to freeing his home. This issue is larger than your standard book, 7 by 10, 50 pages long, and printed on sturdy, high-quality gloss paper.
Yeah, so all of the Saturn Effect books are a little bit bigger than standard. This is actually very, very close to, I believe, the Silver Age comic size books. So it's a little bit bigger than normal, but it's well worth it. And it's really high quality stuff. I thought I had an issue right next to me. I have like all my other book issues like literally right here, but but not the Saturn Effect. But yeah, it's very high quality stuff. So they're really beautiful books.
So let's start breaking down the Red Seed team. So we have the founder, Chris Moses, here in the flesh.
That's me. We got Francesco Mazzoli right underneath me. We have Marco D'Alessandro, Reed Hinckley Barnes. Then my editor, or one of my editors, Peter Hambusi. He was a former DC editor. He's really, really awesome. He's a great guy.
Wow, that is awesome.
He's really awesome. Then there's my other good friend and editor, Gerald Von Carr. He's also the editor for Breakneck Fantasy Anthology, which I have a short in issue 1, and we'll have a short in issue 2 as well for the story When I Freeze Hell Over. So if you are a fan of magic, witches, or manga, you should definitely check that out. It's black and white, and it's a really awesome story. We follow the Ice Witch Sickle as she travels down through hell to become the next devil.
What two conflicting things, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it.
I love part of the story. You should definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's one of my favorite things to write. I'm chugging away through the rest of it, and every single time I write something, I'm like, this is so fun. It's one of my one of the most fun I've had writing in a long time, and it's got some like shonen sort of inspirations. If you really like characters getting badass new forms and new getting stronger each issue, then you should definitely check it out. So then next we have Devin R Scott. He's another one of my editors. I have a bunch of editors on my team. I think editors are super important to making your ideas better, but also because I just have a lot of ideas, and nobody can just talk to me all the time, so I have to talk to a bunch of different people. So I'm not annoying, not too annoying to one person. So that's why there's 3 of them. But in all seriousness, they're all really awesome. And also there's a reward tier. If you need your own editor, I highly recommend Devin R Scott, and you can get a discounted rate for him editing one of your books if you back the tier that I think it's called Script Edit R Scott, and it's a discounted rate for him, so you'll be able to get a comic book edited at a discounted rate, and supporting TSC as well. Next we have Ricardo Secchi, who did the variant art and is also the artist on Control Z, as I mentioned. Then it's Christian Wolf, who did the art on not only TSC Helena, but also our other series, Soma City, that takes place in a world where people are anthropomorphized microbes. It's an awesome noir story, and he's really cool. And then James O'Freddy, who is the colorist on the variant cover for Alpha 4, the Kickstarter exclusive variant cover, which we'll only have on Kickstarter and very limitedly at conventions for whenever we make an appearance.
Yeah, I got you. That is, what a team. This is such an awesome, diverse team. I see Reed literally on so many big projects as a letterer. Like he definitely seems like one of the bigger names like in the lettering scene on indie comics. Yeah, Reed is everywhere now. Reed is getting a lot of work. People are really enjoying some Reed, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he's getting he's busy, but hopefully not too busy to letter my books. Get back here, Reed. So right here are the rewards. Backers are helping fund the printing of our physical issues in trade paperback. Issues 1 through 4 of TSE Alpha are currently completed and ready for the printers. Tiers include Red Seas Comics' first trade paperback printed physical issues, digital PDFs, a Kickstarter exclusive variant, Sci-fi. What is it? I cannot pronounce caricature. I like that. I've never seen it spelled. I was like, original traditional drawn comic pages, and even joining the universe as an extra. That is really cool too. So you can get drawn in.
Yes, exactly. So this is the last time that you'll be able to be drawn into the universe. And it's for Alpha 6, and Alpha 6 has we have a climactic moment called the Battle for Mega Stations 6. So make sure you if you want to be in the last chance to be in the Saturn Effect,
that is so cool. That's awesome.
And you'll be in as an extra for probably the biggest moment in the whole series.
So Kickstarter exclusive variants will only be available on Kickstarter or conventions too. I think that's pretty cool. Is this something that you just really want to make this exclusive, like just that much more rare, or what was
Exactly. I wanted to make it a little bit more rare. I wanted also to like give people an incentive to back on Kickstarter, and sort of reward people. It's like if you back us on Kickstarter, like here is an exclusive variant that you can only get here. And then also, I don't make too many convention appearances. I actually do have a convention appearance this weekend at Brooklyn Comic Con, but I don't make too many convention appearances. So I think having a special sort of offering for whenever somebody is able to find you somewhere is always really nice.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I also just wanted to put the disclaimer there, so I wasn't like Kickstarter exclusive variant and then put it on my website or something. Just to like make sure people know that like this is like a special edition sort of thing that you'll only be able to get on the Kickstarter, or if you were able to track me down at like a Comic-Con.
So some of the stretch goals, now that we hit our goal, check out our first 2 stretch goals. So stretch goal number 1 is the Bogart 10-page digital preview, 3,500. So nearing close to that.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, almost there. Stretch goal number 2 is the Control Plus 2 10-page digital preview as well for at 5,000. I really am digging this character design a lot.
Yeah, that is our main character, Idolin, and she's a badass. And I mean, this is one of my favorite stories. I mean, I'm really excited to get this out there, and we actually have lined up a deal with Scout for when it's finally finished. So it'll be in comic book stores from them at some point in the future. We're almost finished with issue 2. It's a 4-issue miniseries. So there's
is that going to be like
issues.
your first book on like a publishing label like that?
Yes.
That's awesome, dude.
The first one. So hopefully we'll see more of this. I'm planning to hopefully have this Kickstarter for this book up in October. We'll see how everything goes. But if you really want to get an issue, come find me at Brooklyn Comic Con, because actually, let me see. I got something to show.
Ooh, so it looks like we might get a little sneak peek exclusively on here too.
We have physical issues of Control Z going to be available.
Yeah, that looks gorgeous.
I'm only going to have a few copies available. So if you really want Control Z, if you want to see what the hell is going on in Cyberscape, then come by it. And I'll give a little teaser. We'll show a cool page.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this book is but we can't. We've got some really crazy stuff at Red Sea, everybody.
That is really gorgeous. Oh my god.
It's a beautiful book, and so if you want to get we only have a very limited supply of these. There won't be too many of these printed out. So if you really want one, if you want to get it signed, come see me at Brooklyn Comic Con and get your copy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fly my ass from Ohio over to Brooklyn. So some of the add-ons, miss out on our previous campaigns, don't worry, we have multiple add-ons that you can customize your pledge with rewards that you want. So you can get Soma City issue number 1 as an add-on.
Yes, correct. So this is Soma City number 1, where we follow a contact tracer when he tries to clean up his city during the transition to a new mayor. And it's Black Sad meets Osmosis Jones. So it's a really awesome, fast-paced noir story. And honestly, it's beautiful. I mean, I think I still look back at it and I'm surprised how good it came out. And I think you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if in 5-10 years people are like, but Soma City though, they really snapped at the very beginning. because it's a really awesome. It's not, I mean, but more humbly, I think it's a Christian Wolf and Ilaria Fella really did a really amazing job. Christian Wolf is just such a good job of translating my scripts into comics and in the art. So he did an amazing job with this. Please, consider adjusting your pledge and adding it on if you enjoy noir, because it supports both of us, and he's really awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So issue 1 of the Saturn Effect Alpha. So you can get your hands on the 24-page issue number 1. The issue is larger than the standard books, 7x10 printed on high-quality gloss paper.
Correct. So this is the first Alpha issue that we released. This is the standard cover. I mean, this is when I first saw this cover, I was like, will we ever have a cooler cover than this?
Yeah, this is freaking awesome, man.
And you know what? It's still up in the air. Have we ever had a cooler cover than this? I mean, it's up in the air for sure.
I love the little glow from the arm right here. Yeah. Is this the ring right here?
Yeah, that's the ring.
Yeah, that's
Saturn.
gorgeous. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, they really did an awesome job.
So issue number 2, this is the Mysterious Benefactor as well.
Yes, correct. And this is another awesome cover. I mean, this is one I was like, will we ever have another awesome cover like this when I saw this? So we're always trying to raise the bar, raise the quality, and do better each time. And this one
was 7 pages longer, 3 pages longer at 27 pages.
Correct.
And then issue number 3, I really like this as well. This is like really, it gives like almost like a horror vibe, you know?
Yes, correct. So there is definitely some horror influences in this issue. It's a little bit darker. Another fun fact, issues 1, 2, and 3, we actually voted for the covers. Like the fans voted on which cover would be the main cover.
That's cool.
So the fans voted for 1, 2, and 3. And the other choice became the variant or the deluxe cover book. So if you had enjoyed those, that you can still have purchased them. For Alpha 4 and Alpha 5, we didn't do a vote, but we might bring votes back for the maybe at least one more issue we'll bring back.
And this one ended up being even longer than the second one at 33 pages too.
Correct. So you can see how each issue starts getting longer and longer. When you're like, did you think it was going to end up being this long? I'm like, no, not really. But it's as long as it needs to be.
And then right here is the Helena. This is awesome. I love how they're back to back.
Yeah, so that's Helena and Ennio, they're battling it out in a tanker. And in the background, you can see the character named Ashes, who's got a big connection towards characters like Fauna, and has his own role to play in the overall story.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. So this is set 2 years after Ajax issue number 3, which you can read for free at the SaturnEffect.com. This one is 24 pages. So, I mean, was there any reasoning for going back down, or
the stories are just as long as they need to be.
Yeah.
There's not really any, like, I'm not targeting a certain amount with any of these. Like, if I'm targeting a certain amount, it's generally just going to be 22 pages long. So if you see something longer than that for me, it's because I'm letting the story do its thing. But generally, I try to aim for 22 pages because that's like
why the standard size. Going back to that, after doing the 7x10 with the other ones.
Just a more classic comic book feel. It was just how, and it was how Christian Wolf drew the comics. He drew them U.S. standard, so that's just how he made it.
So for all completionists, get your hands on the digital PDFs of the Saturn Effect Ajax issue 1 through 3 as an add-on to any pledge. This is over 60 pages of story, and see the start of the sprawling sci-fi universe as we follow 2 Space Marines, Ajax Cole and Helena Faye, as they finish a questionable Earth military offensive. I really liked it too, because I thought it was really interesting when I was reading it. You really saw Helena questioning if she was doing the right thing, if she's on the right side of history. Make sure that, they remember, me as who I am. Like, I really thought, you did a good job of adding that, that questioning, morality to her.
I appreciate that. Yeah, she's definitely going through, having this moral dilemma in issue 1 of Ajax. And it culminates with her having to make this decision, ultimately to save Ajax, that may end up putting her in a light historically that she may not necessarily have wanted. And we see that in, you know, Alpha 3 and Alpha 4, that she's seen as a hero, and so it really makes you try and understand what she was thinking, because she was remembered as a hero, but is that something she wanted? Does she believe that she should be seen as a hero? And these are things that you're sort of playing in your mind, and in Ajax's mind, in throughout the story.
So right now we have Breakneck Fantasy Anthology. So this is a really interesting book, it looks like. Well, what's going on here? What are we seeing here?
So this is a cover done by Francesco Della Serva for my friend and editor Gerald Boncar and Ignacio de Meglio, their fantasy anthology Breakneck, which is black and white. It collects a bunch of different awesome creative teams. All the profits are split between the teams, so anything that we make from this Kickstarter will be split evenly between all of us for this add-on. And it's just really fun. It's action-packed. It's funny. It's dark. It's everything that you'd want in a fantasy anthology. And it's 32 pages long, and everything is beautiful. And I mean, I'm in it. I have an awesome story. I mean, what else do you need? We have. So if you like, as I said before, if you like witches, if you like magic, if you like manga, like shonens, then come check out When I Freeze Hell Over, because it's an awesome ride, and I think you'll enjoy that and all the other awesome shorts that are in the book.
You also have original one-of-a-kind comic pages from the Saturn Effect Alpha available as well, penciled and inked traditionally by your artist. I can't pronounce the name, I'm sorry.
It's okay, Francesco Mazzoli. And yeah, we have a bunch of single pages available, and we only have 2 splash pages available. So if you were to click on that link, it'll take you to an Imgur with a list of all the available pages. So if you want an awesome splash or spread page, you gotta get it while it lasts. This page that we're showing right here is still available, and then there's one other one that's still available. So they're really awesome. They'll come signed straight from Italy. And yeah, how could you not want some of Francesco Mazzoli's art hanging in your house?
You can also get a digital caricature of yourself or a loved one by an artist, Christian Wolf. Choose between being human or pure and see how you would look if you were in the Saturn Effect Helena. So yeah, this is really cool as well. I think it's awesome when you allow your audience to be able to kind of just get pictures of themselves done in that universe. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so this is done by Christian Wolf. He does caricatures. He makes some awesome ones, and so he did these of 2 of our backers from last campaign, and they came out really awesome. So if anybody wants one, I mean, there you go. They're really cool. You'll get them digitally, and what else do you need you get to look like a badass sci-fi character?
And then it's only $60, so that's a pretty outstanding price as well. So disclaimer, face per add-on. So if you want multiple people, additional add-ons will be needed for the pledge. And then don't miss the reveal for the cover of issue 5, which we already checked out and seen.
Yeah, we got a little preview. The finalized cover will be coming later on, but I just wanted to give everyone that takes the time to look at our updates to get an early look.
And then right here are some of the social medias. We won't go through all of them, but for anyone that's interested, I posted the link in the chat. Be sure to check them out and follow them for staying up to date with their latest works. So risk and challenges are just, I would feel just traditional, like anything, you can't really foresee global things happening.
Right, correct.
So let's go ahead and start breaking down the tiers, and then we'll begin wrapping things up. So this is, man, I love breaking down this campaign. This is so, I love it. The world that you're building with the Saturn Effect is just monstrous, and to hear that you're containing it in 8 issues is even more. I thought this would be something that would spill out into many. So I'm interested in kind of breaking that down later too. So for you could pledge without a reward, $10. Back it because you believe in it. For $8 though, you're gonna get the US. Or excuse me, I don't know why I said US. That it's US 8. So for $8 or more, you're gonna get issue 4 digital PDF of the Saturn Effect Alpha 4. For 15 or more, you're gonna get the volume issue number 1 digitally. So this is gonna get you the first 4 issues of the Saturn Effect Alpha collected in one place. over 130 pages long. So you also offer for 15 the physical print. So is this kind of just to help people who might be like international?
Yeah. So so the digital volume has issues 1 through 4 in it, and it's offered. I feel like affordably for the amount of pages that you're getting. But yeah, it's definitely for people. We have a lot of digital backers, and then also for people overseas. Unfortunately, it's just ridiculous to ship overseas. I can only offer reduced pricing really to Italy. Everywhere else, it really takes and it's not just a shipping from like through the USPS. Like there's also like taxes that you have to pay when you send it over, and it's ridiculous.
It's a nightmare too if the custom has to break it open. Yeah,
it's a nightmare. It's ridiculous, and it becomes super expensive and makes it not really possible to do at a lower price, unfortunately. So we have a very good deal for our volume, our digital volume. And if you've been around since the beginning and you've been buying physical, you can buy just the issue 4 print issue. That also comes with the digital Alpha 4. So yeah, it's a 50-page issue, so the physical is a little bit more expensive, and paper is getting more expensive. But I think it's some people will charge you $20 or more for a 50-page graphic novella. So
this is almost triple. A lot of pages. I would say the typical is like 20 pages,
right?
Give or take. So this is almost triple. $5 more though. You're getting the Kickstarter exclusive variant. I think that's a pretty awesome price too for $5 more to get that awesome cover. And then you're gonna get that digitally as well. For $40, you're gonna get the Alpha Volume 1 physical. So 140 pages long, collects issues 1 through 4. Man, this is an awesome price. This is an awesome price for the trade paperback.
Correct. And just an announcement for anyone listening: make sure for the next campaign that you get there early, because we always do early bird rewards. And this is already a good price for Volume 1, but you could have gotten an even better one if you backed.
What was the early bird price?
It was $35. It was $5.
Ooh, yeah, $5. I mean, $5 is $5 though.
$5 is $5. I mean, that's the cost of shipping. So it was essentially free shipping for everyone that backed in the first 48 hours.
So if you pledge $70 or more, you're going to get a SATURN EFFECT character. You know what I mean? You're going to get it digitally. You're also going to get Alpha Volume 1 digitally as well. Pretty outstanding price. That is fantastic. That's so cool. Do you have a lot of bites on this, or is this just the 2 that you showed previously?
Oh, this is just the 2 that we've had show up previously. I mean,
it has to be cool seeing them, drawn in that style, though.
Yeah, I think everybody has enjoyed that has received it. And then we have the collector bundle that lets you get basically all of our physical and digital stuff that we have for our main issues. None of the variants, but all of the physical issues.
Yeah, that's so cool. So $90 or more, the retailer tier, Volume 1. You're going to get 5 copies of Alpha Volume 1 for $90. $120 or more, you're going to get the Red Sea Collector Bundle. So this is going to get you physical and digital copies of everything released on Red Sea Comics books, along with the SATURN EFFECT Alpha 4 Kickstarter exclusive variant cover as well.
Correct. So you basically get everything right here.
Yeah, how many books is this?
A lot. It's a lot of books. It's a really fat bundle, so you'll have a lot of reading material. And
I see some deluxes in here as well.
Correct. We have deluxe issues of issues 1 and 2 of Alpha that feature extra bonus pages with extra art, some trial art. I'm sorry, some process pages, and some other things. So if you want to, and they have different covers as well. They're a little harder to get your hands on now, so they're also a little bit rarer.
Yeah, let's go. So for $150, be an extra. This is your last chance to see yourself or your indie character. So they could even have their original character from their book.
Correct. So we actually have an indie character cameo in issue 5 from Gary Dufner. So keep your eyes out for that if you know Gary, and you'll be able to see some of his 2 of his characters actually. Masoli was nice enough to draw not just 1 but 2 of them in there for him, so you'll be able to see them in there.
So you're gonna get this includes Alpha Volume 1 physical, the digital, and then you get to be an extra in the SATURN Effect Alpha issue number 6. Very cool. I always love seeing those background characters. I think it lets you kind of bring in a lot of your audience and puts them into it. I mean, that's such a cool feeling. So for 150, you're gonna get original pages, single. Get an original page from the SATURN Effect Alpha, pencils and ink. Take a look at this gallery for still available pages. So this will just get you a piece of the original art, which we took a look at that example, and I mean, it's gorgeous. Yeah, that is gorgeous. So for 210, script edit at Red Sea Comics. So this is what you were talking about earlier on having your editor at a discounted rate come and look at your script.
Correct.
So for 250, original pages splash. So this will be the splash page that we were looking at. So the same thing as before, just 2 pages instead of 1, right? Or no, that's full art.
Yeah, there's full art and splash pages.
Spread is the 2 pages. Yeah, I learned that my first time learning. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I might have to go back and change that. I think I wrote splash there. It should be spread, but good catch, everybody.
Yeah. Hey. And then everything else is still gone. These were the early bird tiers, but just a quick glimpse at them. So yeah, this wraps up the campaign. For anyone that is left, on the fence, wondering if they should back or not, what would you like to say to them directly to kind of help push them over that edge? And we're going to go ahead and put this link right in the chat. So anyone that is on the fence can go ahead and back if you motivate them enough.
I mean, what else do I need to say? Did you not see all the art, people? Did you not see
it's gorgeous.
I mean, if you want a little bit more, this is European art. It's sophisticated. This will take your comic book level sophistication to the next level. People be like, you read such in-depth, amazing material, and people will really appreciate your comic book opinions way more if you read the SATURN Effect Alpha. So.
if you add this to your collection, your room's gonna smell like mahogany and leather-bound books.
Correct.
Enough
You'll
said.
Also always have a turtleneck on, and people will think that you're really smart.
Man, there's so much that I want to ask you, but we do have to wrap things up. So I need to end this strong. And Chris, with that being said, for anyone that's just out there like struggling getting their campaign going, getting exposure, getting eyes, what type of advice would you offer them to kind of help them like just really start to take that and get it under control?
Okay, so I would say depending on where you're struggling. So if you're struggling with getting it done, well, you know what, just sit down and do it. Like find however you can get it done, however you can write it. Like make sure you put yourself in the situation to do that and try and do that every day. And if you write or draw or anything a little bit every day, it all accumulates. And by the time you look back in, a month, 2 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you'll have seen that you've made insane progress. And especially as long as each and every time that you're doing it, you try and do it better than the last time. Okay. So if you're doing that, you'll always succeed if you're always trying to do better than the last time, and whatever success is. But if success is just being the best that you can be at something, as long as you are trying your hardest each and every time, then you'll always succeed. And then the other thing is, if you're having trouble just putting yourself out there, just don't worry about it. Just put it. Just make your thing. Just do it. Because honestly, you get first of all, any publicity is good publicity. So even if a 10,000 people read your thing and they hated it, well, at least 10,000 people looked at it as opposed to 0.
That's true. That is true.
Just put yourself out there. I mean, for the most part, you're going to be struggling to get those views. So don't be afraid of who's going to see it. Just try and put out what you can put out, and your best work, and people will gravitate towards your energy and your passion, and people will see it, and people will hopefully enjoy you and your craft.
Yeah, wow, that is such an awesome response. Guys, we barely scratched the surface with Chris. If you're not following him on Twitter, be sure to check out the description for all those social media platforms, because there is so much that we left out of this. And there's my cat trying to get in the brand new cat tent that we have. So yeah, there's so much that we left out here. Like I said, Chris is such an outstanding member of the indie community, often posting tweets that are motivational, advice, suggestions, and everything I see you tweeting is almost like a purpose to help uplift the community as a whole.
Yeah, I'm trying to. A lot of the time I'm talking to myself in the sense that this is what I feel like I need to hear, or I would have liked to hear. I think that means other people are feeling similarly, and I think the response that the tweets have been getting has been good, and I think I think there's also just so much negativity on Twitter and in the comic book space sometimes that it's nice to be a little bit more positive and cheerful, and remembering that we're all in this together, and we're all like a community, and we're trying to make indie comics as big as possible. You know, we want more people to read books. You know, we want more people to read our stuff and our friends' stuff, and we all want to get better. So
absolutely.
That we all remember that.
Yeah, I think you do an outstanding job of just cultivating that. It definitely, it's a team effort, but it you know, you see a couple individuals that are really pushing it, then it, you know, more people start falling in that mentality, and then eventually you have that community, and it's great. It's great to see the start of this, and I think I'm surprised Chris Moses isn't already a bigger name, but I can't wait to see your name more in the headlines. I'm excited for the future. But with that being said, guys, we do have to wrap things up. It is a beautiful Wednesday. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Chris, thank you so much for coming on, breaking down the Saturn Effect. I'd love to get you on for issue number 5 when that ever gets in the works. I mean, just throwing it out there. If you want to bite, let me know.
I mean, there's issue 5, but we also have I have another campaign hopefully launching almost right after this one. So maybe we can have another conversation sooner.
I'm hungry for it all. With that being said, guys, we do have to get things going. It is your Caped Crusader Cody. We are here with Chris. I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.